bitch, this a new outfit. Turn to the back for a pic.
Alright guys, welcome back to my channel. It is Summer K here on YouTube. Fitspiration by Summer if you follow me on Instagram or on Facebook. If you're not following me, then you definitely should, because we're almost at 500 subscribers, which means a giveaway is coming up soon. So you want to make sure that you're tuned in and that you don't miss those updates, because I feel like it's going to be a pretty good giveaway depending on when I hit 500 subscribers. With that being said, today I'm going to come back with a little bit more nutrition advice. I am not going to go too in-depth with it. I'm just going to do the basics because it's already going to be a lengthy video, so I don't want to like lose too much focus. That's why I got my little notepad over there. But after my last video, when I was talking about why you might not be losing weight, and it was centered around drinking your calories and some eating habits that people might not realize are detrimental to their fitness journey, you guys asked me to do a little bit more nutrition, so I'm going to go ahead and do it, even though nutrition is not my strong point. With that, I want to do a quick disclaimer and just say I'm not a nutritionist and I'm not a dietitian. So the reason why I say that is because I'm a personal trainer and I'm an exercise science major. And as a personal trainer, exercise science major, technically, well, not technically, it's the rule. It's outside of our scope to do meal plans, especially without the right credentials. So I've taken nutrition classes in order to help educate the clients that I work with on, healthier eating habits, but I don't do meal plans. And I feel like when people ask me about that and I tell them, hey, I don't do meal plans, they take it the wrong way. But it's not that I don't want to help you guys, it's that it's literally not my field. So I don't like stamping my name onto something that I'm not necessarily confident in. So I will do like a nutrition guide, or I might do grocery lists to help educate you, but I'm not going to do anything that's going to come and bite me in the butt later on because it's outside of my scope. So with that being said, if you have somebody that is really motivational to you, and you go and they say they have a meal plan, and you follow that and you see results, by all means, that's great for you and that person that's giving it to you. But Coach Summer is not going to do meal plans at this time. I plan on doing it in the future. I just have not done the education for it, basically. But I will give you guys nutrition advice. I do it with my clients, and sometimes I do it on Instagram, but I'll definitely start doing it on here since y'all have been a little bit more adamant about posting a nutrition video. So I'm going to put timestamps in the description box just in case you guys don't have a pen and paper, or you are really interested in this advice and you want to come back to it. That way, if there's a part that really speaks out to you, or you feel like you need a little bit more education on it, you can watch it again and then let me know in the comments if you want me to go a little bit more in depth. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into what the basics of nutrition is, so that you can start your healthy fitness journey, hopefully. But if not working out, at least start eating right at beginner level. If you are already eating right, then kudos to you. Definitely let me know in the comments if you have already adopted healthy eating habits. If you are not, this video is for you. We're gonna call it Healthy Eating for Beginners, because I'm just gonna touch on the basics, but it's still gonna be something that you guys need to hear, and hopefully you apply it to your daily life and come back and let me know if it's helped you or not, or if I need to go a little bit more in depth in the future. So with that being said, if you are already exercising, or if you are an athlete, then you know the importance of eating right, okay? That's how we perform at our best. It also helps with, diseases. We don't want to get heart disease, or we want to try to lower the chance as much as possible, and we want to feel good while we are here. So, I hate when people say, well, why do I waste time eating right, or why do I waste time not enjoying the foods that I love if I'm going to just, die anyways? That is not the right mindset to have, okay? You can eat healthy majority of the time and still enjoy those foods that you love. It's about limiting, or, saving it for a special occasion versus eating that every day or almost every day, because you are not fueling your body correctly, or you're not giving your body the nutrients that it needs if you're sitting here and you're drinking or eating those bad foods that I mentioned in my last video. Go check that out, by the way. But with that being said, we want to perform our best, and it's more than just about looking good, all right? It's because if we fuel our body, we're not only going to look good, we're going to feel good. And when you feel good, you're going to do good. Word to Deion Sanders, all right? So let's get into this video, see if any of these rules apply to you, and then let me know in the comments what touched you the most and if I need to go a little bit more in depth for you. All right, so number one is gonna be a pretty simple one, but I'm gonna say it anyways, which is that you do not need to count your calories. A lot of people track their calories, which is something that I would recommend if you are trying to lose weight, or even if you're trying to gain weight, because while you don't need to while you don't need to count your calories, you do need to monitor your total daily intake, because you need to make sure that you are fueling your body correctly. So like I said, I don't do meal plans, but I do use an app. MyFitnessPal, which is how I look at my clients' eating habits. Actually, I don't use it myself, but you can share the food diary. So I'll go look at what they're eating, and it does it for you. It tells you how many calories you should be eating to either gain, lose, maintain your weight. And you just go and you put it in, and you can monitor it every day. And I mean, it's more than about counting those calories. It's about seeing what types of foods that you're eating and making sure that you are getting all of your food groups in, as well as your nutrients, so that you can perform at the top level. But the main thing about it is that, okay, let's say that you are counting your calories because you're just trying to maintain. I look at my calories when I'm trying to maintain, because I know that I'm not getting enough calories in, which is why I keep struggling between the same 5 pounds that I'm not really worried about. But I know that if I ate more calories, I could stay at the weight that I'm actually trying to stay at. It's just not my main concern. But the way that you look at it is, of course, if you are wanting to lose weight, that you have to go into a calorie deficit. So with that being said, losing body fat and losing weight on the scale is not necessarily the same thing, because guess what? Our body is mostly made up of water. So that is why whenever people drop like those first 5 or 7 pounds within like 2 weeks by doing like keto diet or something like that, they're dropping that water weight. And if you go back to eating your old foods, that weight comes right back on. That's why. You just want to make sure you are in a calorie deficit. It's okay to, eat a well-rounded amount of your foods, and I'll get into what the differences are between like your proteins and stuff, and the differences between like your fruits and veggies and stuff. So with that being said, just make sure that you are monitoring it some way. You can look at calculator.net, which also has a calorie counter. You can honestly just message me on Instagram and I'll just do it for you, because that's the easiest thing to do. I don't mind doing it for free. I'm not going to charge you to tell you how many calories you should eat in a day. But if you want to go further than that, you got to pay. But just look on that and see, what you want to do and what your goal is, and then set your calories and try to like match those calories as much as possible. Now, vice versa, if you are trying to gain weight, gain muscle mass has more so to do with like guys. Women want to kind of gain weight in like the right places. It's really all the same. You have to bulk, so you have to eat more than you burn, which is why whenever people are going on a weight gain journey, I tell people to cut out cardio, except for heart health reasons, because you burn calories very, very fast when you're doing cardio or high intensity interval training. So if you're wanting to gain weight, I know somebody said that in the comments last week, I'm going to do a video over that too, because that's a whole separate issue, and it is a lot into gaining weight. But both of them, you have to look at your calories, and you have to make sure that you are doing it correctly, or else even if you meet your goal, you're not gonna know what you're supposed to be doing, and it's gonna go downhill very quickly. All right, so the takeaway for that is basically whether you are gaining, losing, maintaining, you want to make sure that you are keeping track of your calories so that you know what your body likes. So number 2, this is where you're going to kind of want to pause it a little bit, or get out your pen and paper, because I'm going to tell you guys what your macronutrients are, which a lot of people know, some of us don't. If you don't, it's okay. Your macronutrients are your fat, your protein, and your starches, also known as your carbs. So whenever we are looking at our protein, we are looking at our meats, we're looking at our fish, seafood type stuff. If you're a vegetarian, it's like your tofu, and then we're looking at sometimes dairy, eggs, those types of things. But basically, your protein is what you're gonna use, especially whenever you are wanting to build muscle. It's also essential for weight loss, which a lot of people do not realize because they associate it with gaining muscle. Layman's terms, you gotta get your protein in, okay? Protein is 4 calories per gram, which is not very important to you if you are trying to just eat a healthier lifestyle, because guess what? You can just plug it into MyFitnessPal, and MyFitnessPal will do it for you. But basically, it has less calories than like your fats. So you want to make sure that you're getting your protein in, and that leaves a little bit more leeway to get some other things in during your day. So again, a lot of people have a negative connotation with carbs. I love me some carbs. Carbs are your friends, okay? Carbs are your brain fuel. Carbs is what helps you get through in the gym, especially when you're doing some weightlifting. You need your carbs. Now, that's not to say if you are doing a low carb diet, it's okay to like not get those carbs in as much, but you still need to have some type of carbs. That's why you don't restrict it completely, because your body is going to start panicking if you don't get your carbs in, okay? Your macronutrients are very important. So your carbs are things like your bread, your pastas, your potatoes, the stuff that we like, especially down south. It can be white bread, wheat bread, your rice, legumes, things like that. it's all carbs, it's starchy. It's not necessarily bad for you, but that is something that a lot of us eat too much of. So you want to be aware of how many carbs you're eating, which also goes into calorie tracking. But at the same time, don't think that you just have to, like, if you have too much bread, that it's just detrimental to your health. No, you just need to watch what you're eating and maybe not eat as much bread next time, and then you'll see better results and your body will perform better. Also, of course, if you are going to do carbs, it's good to go for, the whole grain or those types of things, so that you do get that full benefit and you get that added fiber in. Carbs also includes fruits. So a lot of people, whenever they're doing low carb diets, will cut out fruits or they'll eat minimal fruits. That's another thing. That's because fruit is nature's sugar. So if you are eating fruits, then you are essentially getting more carbs in. All that is just kind of do your research if you want to go on a low carb diet and look at what fruits don't have as much carbs in them. Things fruit is not bad. You need your food, of course, but if you are watching what you eat, definitely take that into account. You have your fats. Fats are, I don't know if I said carbs. Carbs are 4 calories a gram too, if that matters to you. But your fats are 9 calories a gram, which is where it starts to kind of matter. So as a woman, I know they say don't go below a certain amount whenever you're doing your fats. So I don't really know too many people that do a low fat diet. I think that people essentially just start to watch what they're eating, because whenever you like things like your dairies and things like that, your nuts, your seeds, your like peanut butter, I love me some peanut butter, cheese, your oily fish, or like your meats that have that extra fat on them. That's why people go and get the leaner meats. Those are things that are higher in fat, and so it's very easy to start eating too much of that and not realizing it. And a lot of times I've noticed a lot of people can't have too much dairy because it makes them have tummy issues. But you need your fats, especially as a woman. Everybody needs their fats, but for women it's essential just because that's just the way that we're made up. Make sure that you understand that your macronutrients are your carbs, which is like your potatoes, breads, blah blah blah. Your protein is your meat, your fish, tofu if you're vegetarian, and then your fats is your dairies and cheeses and butters and oily things. So next is understanding your micronutrients, which a lot of people don't talk about because it's not necessarily something that you have to go in depth about. Your micronutrients are basically your vitamins and your minerals, which are essential for healthy living. So basically what the expectation is to get your vitamins and minerals through what we eat, because it is essential to our health. Is what we need to survive. You have to get your vitamins and minerals in. Unfortunately, a lot of us do not get them in because we don't eat nutritionally dense foods, or we're not eating the right foods in general, so we miss out on our good micronutrients, and we have to supplement with the multivitamin. There's nothing really wrong with that. Just make sure you're going to your doctor and you're getting your tests done so that they can tell you what you might be deficient in, and then you can work on that, because you don't want to be taking the wrong things if you're not deficient in it or you're actually getting it through your food. Minerals that people usually look at are like your magnesium, your potassium, your iron, which I am deficient in. I have to take an iron supplement. What else am I missing? Your calcium. As a woman, you probably are going to have to take calcium once you get older anyways, just because of osteoporosis. But those are things that are essential whenever it comes to your minerals. There's more things too. But your vitamins are all of your vitamins. It helps with energy production, eye health, heart health, all of that good stuff. You just want to make sure that you're getting your vitamins and minerals so that your body can perform the best way. So this next one is something that we should all be doing, and I struggle with it because I'm just cheap, I guess, but I'm gonna do a little bit better. But try to eat your whole foods. So whole foods basically means that it's one ingredient, it's not processed, natural, so like your basic foods, your whole foods, some other stores like that, those of course are gonna have them. Try to shop at stores like that so that you don't really have to worry about what's coming in the product. Our whole foods are nutrient dense, and they have lower calorie energy, which in layman's terms just means that they have more of your nutrients for less calories. Processed foods, that means that it's going to have more calories and it's not going to have as much nutrients, so we call those empty calories, which are not limited to like fast food. That's one of the first things that you can cut out. When you cut out fast food, you usually see a big splurge in energy, as well as a splurge in your pockets because you're not spending as much. That's why, because they basically have no nutrients in them, even though they might be advertised as a healthier option. All right, so I gotta hold this next one, which is foods to eat, because I want to remember the order that I put them in. So number one, your vegetables. A lot of people will not eat their vegetables. You have to eat your vegetables. I talked about that in the last video. You just gotta figure it out. You gotta figure out a way to get your vegetables in. Now, if you do not eat vegetables, you just can't do it, then you're gonna have to suck it up and go get a supplement like a superfood powder or superfood pills, and you'll just have to take some pills because your body needs your vegetables as well as it needs your fruit. But your vegetables are like low calorie. Some of them are starchier than the others, which I did not know until last year. But things like your carrots, certain type of squashes and things like that might have a little bit more starch. But basically it's full of micronutrients as well, and it's full of fiber. So fiber is something that I forgot to write down. I forgot to touch on it, but fiber is what helps keep you full. So when you're doing like whole grain and things like that, you're looking at some stuff and it says like net carbs. It's gonna have more fiber in there because fiber is good for you and it's essential for weight loss. All right, next is your fruits. Of course, I already touched on fruits before I touched on vegetables. Don't know why. But you want to make sure that you're doing your fruits because they have your antioxidants and they also have your micronutrients in it. So essential for healthy living. I really don't feel like I need to go over fruits and vegetables because everybody pretty much understands the importance of eating them. But basically, just eat your fruits and veggies. You also want to make sure that you're eating enough of your meat and your fish, which is going into your protein. If you are a vegetarian, then that would be where you would eat like tofu or something like that. Beans and legumes also are what vegetarians usually eat. But you want to make sure you're getting your protein in because you need your protein. A lot of people do not touch on that enough. And I've seen people that do low carb diets or do keto actually, and they do not get enough of their protein in. So if you want to really have healthy living and you want to see your weight loss like jumpstart, you're probably not getting enough protein in. If you just can't eat more protein, you're gonna have to supplement with a protein powder. All right, so your nuts and your seeds, which are again your healthy fats, such as pistachios, almonds, cashews, those types of things. Peanuts, peanut butter is what I eat. I don't eat regular peanuts, almonds, those types of things. And your seeds, those are your healthy fats, and they're also filled with nutrients. So you want to make sure that you're getting those in. Those are going to also have your micronutrients. Eggs are also proteins. Now, eggs, some people only do egg whites, and that's because eggs also are a fatty source. So that can kind of trickle over into your fats. So if you're doing a whole egg, you do a little bit less. If you're doing egg whites, you get a little bit more leeway. So that's really up to you. If I'm doing scrambled eggs, I just do the whole egg. If I'm doing a fried egg, I don't like the yolk, so I just do egg white. Your dairy is going to be where you get your calcium from, which I spoke on. That's very essential, especially to women's health. But you're also going to get some protein depending on, what dairy you do. It varies by how much protein is in there. But you can think of your dairy as your fats essentially, but just understand that you are going to get a little bit more protein when you're doing dairy products. So your healthy starches are already touched on. I'm not really going to touch on them again, but you just want to make sure that you're getting your starches in because that is essential, like I said, to healthy living. So when you do your potatoes, of course, watch out how you're doing them. Like, don't fry potatoes in oils, which is something I'm going to talk about in the next little clip. But if you're baking like sweet potato fries or something, we're not going to beat you up over that. Like, that's a very healthy option. The main thing is just watching out if you're doing a low carb diet. Other than that, your carbs are not bad. Just try to go for whole grain or whole food, whichever way you want to do that, to make sure that you're getting the best bang for your buck. All right, so herbs and spices is something that a lot of people don't touch on. Herbs and spices is very good. What did I write down? High in nutrients and also a beneficial plant compound because it's herbs. People cook with herbs all the time. The issue is that whenever we buy like herbs, like the little, little thingies or whatever that we do when we season our food, it does have some sodium in there, so that can lead to bloating. You want to watch your sodium intake. I'll talk about that on another video because that's something else that I forgot to write down so I wouldn't lose focus. But that might, if you feel like you're bloating, then you're probably got too much sodium in your spices, and you can go for something like Mrs. Dash or a low sodium spice and see how that works out for you. Sometimes it takes a little bit of adjusting because we're used to having certain types of spices, so when you switch to something like that, it feels like it has no flavor. And the last thing I'm going to touch on things that you should eat, because I said it was food, but I'm also going to say drinks, is your water. I'm going to talk about this every single video. Make sure that you guys are getting your water in, all right? unflavored, just plain water is the best. But if you have to put like a drink enhancer in, then that's better than, you know, going and drinking a soda. But also do not forget about coffee. Now you're supposed to drink your coffee black. I don't, because I just can't do it. But you drink your coffee black. Caffeine has been shown to help with weight loss. Just make sure that you're not drinking too much caffeine. Try to keep it below 400 milligrams of coffee a day, but that will help jumpstart your weight loss. There's also caffeine supplements if you don't like coffee that you can do, and that have like 100 milligrams per pill in there, and it just gives you that little jump start and helps you with your weight loss. And then of course your teas. I don't like tea, but I'm in the South, so everybody does sweet tea here. It has to be unsweet tea. Sweet tea is not going to help you meet your goals. So I'm sorry to say it, but you got to drink that in moderation, or just don't drink it at all. But you know, your green teas, your pomegranate, those types of things that are going to have those healthy antioxidants in there, because it's probably coming from a fruit. Those are the things that are going to help you have healthier living overall. So make sure that you are doing those types of teas. Alright, so foods to avoid. These are things that are probably a given, but I'm going to say it because, you know, everybody needs to hear it anyways, and it goes with the video. So, your sugar-based drinks, which are sodas, but not limited to sodas. The issue with sugar-based drinks, which could also be like your juices and things like that, that honestly don't have nutritional value in them because it's all made up of sugar. That can of course lead to obesity, but also do not forget about diabetes, okay? You have to watch your sugar, and you want to make sure that it's natural sugar like your fruit, and it's not coming from a sugar drink where you're not getting any type of nutritional value from it. You're just getting the calories and the sugar and the caffeine, but not in the good way. Your trans fats. So I'm gonna have to talk about trans fats and things like that, because there's too much going on with that. Trans fats, same as carbs, simple and complex carbs. I'm gonna talk about that in another video, but just be, you know, aware of your trans fats, because that is one of the leading causes of heart disease. So I'll go a little bit more in depth in that with another video. So your refined carbs, like I said, I'll do simple and complex carbs, but your refined carbs are things like your white bread. We love white bread, but if you can do wheat bread, you know, just try to do that, because that is a better option for you. So doing white bread can lead to overeating, because white bread is good. I'm not gonna even lie. So it leads to overeating, and it also leads to obesity, because that's just what happens when you do things like that. So just make sure, you know, if you are doing things like that, you try to limit it. You try to go more so for whole grain, whole wheat, that type of stuff. So I touched on this in the last clip when I was talking about what you fry your stuff in, but vegetable oils. You want to watch your vegetable oils. Those are things that are not as good for you. I do like olive oil. Sometimes I do grapeseed oil. Those are things that I've learned just in the past few years that are healthier options. But basically, when you're doing vegetable oil and you're like frying your fish and stuff, that's something that you want to avoid, okay? So try to limit those, or save them for special occasions like a cookout or something like that, if you're going to do vegetable oils. And something else to look out for that people don't really think about is things that are advertised as a healthy alternative. So things like your low-fat products. Something that I had to realize, because when I went to go do liquid creamer, low fat really is advertised as a healthier option, but you got to watch those things, because they do have those sugars in them. So it might be low fat, but once you look at those sugars and those carbs, it's a lot of unnecessary carbs, and like I said, that's empty calories. So whenever you see something advertised as a healthier option, just make sure that you're doing your research and making sure that it's actually a healthier option, because those labels lie. I spoke about it in the last video, but label reading is honestly going to be your best friend. Alright, so if you made it this far, and you listened to like what the basics are of nutrition, I'm going to tell you how to implement it into your daily living. What you should be doing is practicing portion control. So portion control just means watching what you eat. Now, you don't necessarily have to measure it out, even though a lot of people do use a food scale, but you just want to make sure that you're not overeating the wrong things. Now, when we do our vegetables, we usually think of it as having an unlimited amount, but whenever you're doing things like your fats and your carbs, you want to kind of limit those, because it can often lead to overeating. The easiest way to do portion control is to either get a smaller plate, or to get one that's kind of labeled with your macros, so that you can just like put it there if you're just, you know, one of those types of people. But you can also use like your hand as a guide. As long as you're like in the ballpark, you should be fine. It's really not that serious. Main thing is to just make sure you're looking at your calories. Next time, whenever you eat, just wait a few minutes. Wait like 15 to 20 minutes. Let your food actually digest, and then see if you're still hungry, because it might be that the food's just good and you just are going in for seconds. Practice portion control and practice mindfulness eating. Another thing that people do is we eat without thinking, because we're always in a rush, or like I said, the food is just good. So when you're sitting and you're eating, actually think about, you know, what you're eating. Actually think about fueling your body. And then when you're done, see if you're still hungry. So once you do get your nutrition in check, you need to see, you know, how you want to live your lifestyle, because at the end of the day, it's all about sustainability. So if you can't see yourself doing your diet for a long amount of time, then it's probably not the lifestyle for you. If you can't see yourself doing something for at least 6 months, but better yet, 1 to 3 years, it's not the lifestyle for you. So when people go on, you know, keto and they stick to it for, you know, a month, they lose the weight, then gain it back, it's because it's not sustainable for them. You want to practice healthy eating habits, which is why I tell people sometimes losing that weight slowly is the best way to do it, because you realize what your body likes. Whenever you drop that weight quickly because of something that you did, you don't really know what worked for you or not, and you might not even know about healthy eating. You're probably just following something that somebody told you to do. So I've said it before, it's about falling in love with your health journey. It's about making sure that you know what your body likes, and of course your body will thank you in return whenever you're fueling it correctly. So just make sure that it's sustainable. Don't do what you can't maintain. That's the easiest way to say it. If you feel like it's not a lifestyle that you can maintain, don't do it, because guess what? You're gonna cheat, and a cheat meal turns into a cheat day, which turns into cheat weeks, and that's why you end up going back to your starting weight or worse. Remember that balance is key. So like I said, you know, if you have bad foods that you enjoy and you just can't give it up, it's not necessarily taking those out. If you want to have some ice cream, then have some ice cream, but make sure that you limit it or that you save it for a special occasion, because if you sit here and you just say, you know what, I can't have that, whenever you finally do get that, you're gonna overeat, you're gonna splurge, and you're gonna mess up your whole lifestyle that you've been working on. So remember that it's about balance. If you're doing 75 to 90% of like whole foods, eating correctly, doing what you need to do, that's better than what the majority of America is doing. I don't know where you're at, but I'm in America. So that's what the majority of America is doing. Like, obesity is still on the rise. So we have to make sure that we tackle that by making healthier choices. If you're not eating right 100% of the time, it's okay. So I'm gonna end this on just a quick recap on supplements, because I do work in the supplement industry, and I feel like, you know, a lot of people, including doctors, are starting to come around because we're not getting what we need through foods. So some supplements that I recommend is a multivitamin. A good multivitamin, I can of course link some in the description box if you are interested in what I might recommend. But a good multivitamin, if you don't eat seafood or if you're allergic to seafood, get a fish oil. There's different types of ways to do it, but that's good for eye health and brain health, and I can go in depth on supplements in another separate video. Protein powder is another good thing if you are in the gym. This isn't a supplement that's essential for daily living, but I do pre-workout because it just helps me perform better and get through my workouts. BCAAs is another good one to do. And then I have like a montage of supplements that I would say to stack on top of each other for weight loss, but I'm not gonna put them in this video because this is about nutrition and we wanna try to make sure that we're getting our food in check before we start spending money on supplements. So the last thing that I'm gonna add is, on top of making sure that you're getting your eating habits right, practice good sleep hygiene. Our body does what it needs to do when we sleep. So while you feel like you can function off from like 4 hours of sleep and you're good to go, you know, you have to still let your body do what it needs to do. So try to get between, you know, 7 to 9 hours of sleep. If you can get more, cool, but just try to practice good sleep hygiene, because I promise your body will thank you and you'll start feeling more rested. Again, make sure you're drinking your water, okay? Do not skimp on your water. The more water you drink, the better. And the last thing I have, of course, is exercise. Start walking. If you can walk, start running. If you can do that, you know, start lifting some weights. Please don't be scared to do that. And if you need some help, of course, you can come and talk to me and I'll help you get started on your health journey. Make sure that you guys check out some of my other videos. If you've already made it this far in the video, please don't forget to like and subscribe and share with somebody that might need to hear these tips. And don't forget to tune in Monday for the workout of the week. So I'll see y'all guys in the next video.